And hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guest hosted the nationally syndicated radio show Loveline from its inception in 1984 until 2016. He's appeared on countless TV shows, films, and podcasts. You can catch him on Dr. Drew After Dark, the Adam and Drew podcast, and even send him your questions directly through drdrew.com. And if that wasn't enough, you can also catch him in the action film Final Kill in theaters and on demand right now. Please welcome, joining me here, the one, the only, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Drew, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. What's happening?
Doing all right myself, man. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. How about that cinematic triumph, right?
What a triumph indeed. Yes. I'm excited to chat with you.
It was really fun, though, because the premise was that it's like Tony Soprano, right? I'm dealing with a kind of a bad guy. And I can't figure out. He won't tell me why he's so anxious, and so I love that premise.
Have you found yourself in that position before? Not on
Many
film,
times,
but like people,
all the
they
time.
won't tell you what's going on.
All the time,
Really?
and that's why I kind of liked it, because my job has become mind reading.
Yeah.
Because people, I'm not kidding. Because
Venturing
people,
a best guess. Yeah.
Not best guess. I mean, my job is to figure out what's going on with people when they won't tell me, or when they're lying, obfuscating, whatever.
Yeah.
And I get pretty good at it.
Yeah. Was that
In this case, I didn't make too much progress. So.
Oh, no, not in this instance.
Not with Final Kill, no.
How does something like this come about for you, man? Because you pop up, you're in all kinds of media. You've got a lot of irons in the
Tell
fire.
the story.
Which one?
The Simpsons story.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that.
This is a hysterical story.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
But first, just I'm curious, when someone calls you up and they go, hey, we want you to come do your thing. We want you to be a doctor. What motivates you to say yes? How do you know you want to be that?
There's either there's sort of maybe two or three criteria.
Yeah.
One is this going to do something good or worthwhile? And with that criteria, I'll go almost anywhere. So I'll insert myself in environments that are kind of questionable propriety if I feel like I can shape the message in a way that's good. Number two would be, do I need to get out in the cultural landscape a little bit so I can do some other things, like talk to you and stuff, right? And three, it can be just fun. Yeah. Sometimes it's just fun, as long as it does no harm. And it's not something that I'm embarrassed about. And sort of Masked Singer was sort of pushing the envelope on that, but it was still ended up just fun.
Yeah, Masked Singer seemed like a lot of fun.
They produced the hell out of that show. Oh my God.
There's a lot. You've been up to a lot, man. We're going to unpack all of it. You know what? I do want to get to the thing that came up most recently. So you were coming in today, and as I like to do the night before, I'll do a lot of last-minute research, take a couple of things, probably pull a cool thing and to bring up on stage. And I was like, this dude's been in the business for a minute. Surely he's been in an episode of The Simpsons by now.
Surely I'm a character on The Simpsons, right? Yes, has to have. I thought the same thing.
Go to IMDb, and it's like, oh yeah, he's been on The Simpsons. Oh wow, this season. When did that episode air? Last night.
Last night it aired. You were
night.
looking around hours before it aired.
Exactly. It happened
crazy.
just before the moment came to be.
That's so nutty to me. But yes, I was delighted to be a voice in The Simpsons, because I'm a Simpsons fan for 100 years, and to go in there and talk to the writers and stuff, really a privilege. I mean, animated media right now is really where some of the most creative people are, and just to be around them is really a lot of fun.
There's a lot of amazing stuff happening in animation. I actually have a quick look. There he is.
Look at that.
Look at that guy.
I'm on my phone. Oh, that's right. I'm addicted to my phone. That's part of the premise here. I'm one of the patients at this treatment center.
Are you actually addicted to your phone at all, do you find?
My wife might argue. My wife might say a little bit, but then I would say she has a similar addiction, so we share that.
When you walk in to do the voice, do they have the sketch ready to go? Like, this is what you're going to look like?
No, they sort of sketched out for me verbally what the scene was, what was happening. And we tried a bunch of different little things, and it kind of went a direction I didn't anticipate.
Yeah, I got another one here in the series, actually, if we can go to the next one. This one surprised me.
It's so hysterical.
I don't consider myself like an expert on your career, but I'm pretty familiar with what you've done.
Yeah.
This came out of left field. I don't
becoming the Hulk. I thought that's awesome.
You hulking out, which I thought was an interesting way for them to go with it.
And then I went because I had a very long day today, so I went to bed soon after this little segment, not realizing that I guess I reprised the role later in the show.
We have one more here during the ending credits. This one.
I sure my life laughing out loud.
Or Drew Smash. This came as a surprise.
Yeah, what were they thinking?
I don't know.
Well, again, delighted to be a part of it.
When you were there, obviously.
Homer's the only other one that's been a Hulk on Simpsons.
I think so, yeah. So you're
to be
breathing rare air here.
Yeah.
This is. Did they allude in any way? Do you think they find a lot of this? Because how long ago did you record the voiceover for this?
Was that 6 months ago?
Really?
Something like that, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
They
that's-
work hard, man. They
Yeah,
are
that's
locked
faster
in.
than I
They are
thought for
in
that
those.
show.
Well, maybe it was 8 months ago.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I have to think about it.
Within a year, I'd assume. Though,
Definitely
right?
within a year.
Yeah, within a year, and they walk in and
I'm pretty sure it was summer. Yeah, it was summertime.
Yeah,
So,
and they have a rough idea of what the story is going to be.
they have a strong idea of what the story is, just not a focus. It's not in full focus. So they had me doing grunts and frustration sounds and things like that, and that became Hulk. So isn't that funny?
What kind of, would they direct you? They go, give me another annoyed, frustrated, grunty. That's it.
Yeah, that
And
kind
you
of
just
thing.
got to find that.
Yeah,
That's so weird.
Animations.
A lot of fun.
Two things along we're happening to these topics. Voiceover animations, best job on earth, right? I mean, it's you go in, you work with really creative, interesting people, and you go home. The other easiest thing on earth is to play yourself in a film or television show. So when actors sit here and tell you playing yourself is hard, you call them out. There's no way. No way. It's easy. It's
How long were you on? Let's go back to the poster, unless you want to leave that up.
No, it's all right.
The poster for Final Kill there. How long were you on? Was this like 1-2 days? You just pop in, got to do your thing? That's nice.
One day, and it was fascinating. And I really admire the way these guys are producing, directing, writing, and maybe there'll be another version of this of he and I in some other interesting circumstances.
Ed's a really funny guy. In the movie, especially, you get to see a lot of his humor and stuff. When the film opens on a one-on-one scene with you and his character, and obviously you guys are hitting certain story beats, but you've been in that chair a million times before, on screen, off screen. So,
a million times.
Did the director ever go, do me a favor, just have fun with it, ad-lib, give us some stuff?
A good director will usually do that, because I've done stuff like this before where I'm doing that kind of role. And I'll usually ask them, please let me, this language isn't quite right. Let me see if I can make it more accurate. And when you make it more accurate, it has an authenticity to it that I think the actors respond to it too. So,
you mentioned this, and I wanted to eventually get into it a little bit. You were recently, within the year, on The Masked Singer, revealed to be the Eagle.
Yes.
It's a huge deal.
You're going to show me a picture of that?
No,
too?
that I don't have.
Okay.
Prepare that image.
Well, your producers are hard at work. They might be doing it right now. So
we got a great team. If
it's coming then. Good. Because trust me, the images are out there.
Fascinated by the behind the scenes of that show and what it's.
Oh my God, you should. It's spectacular. What do you want to know?
Did you get to choose the costume?
Okay, so there's a million things.
How did it even start? How did you even become a?
Well, I used to be a singer when I was a kid. I actually, for about a minute and a half, thought I might train in opera for real.
No way.
And then left it behind. And in recent years, I've been singing national anthems at Dodger games and Kings games, stuff like that. So I started singing a little more again. And I saw this show, and I was just giving my representation grief. I went, you should put me on that thing. Why am I not? Next day, I was in it. Next day. And I was like, okay, here we go. And no, as much as I love them, but it was really the astute producers of Masked Singer. When they get somebody they know is going to be an interesting reveal, they're going with it. Yeah. And I knew that too. And I know Ken and I know Jenny very well. And I thought, I'm going to screw with them so much. This is going to be the best. In terms of the character, they tell you to get together a couple in your head. You have a phone call, and they come with a few in mind. First thing they said and first thing I said was an eagle.
Wow.
Isn't that weird? And so we all agreed, let's go with it. It was like a 5-minute conversation. Now, what I did not know was that it was going to be a rock eagle, which the costumers made that point 100 times to me. And then I put on the costume. I'm like, oh Christ, this is a rock eagle. I got to sing rock songs.
Yeah, that's what
and one of the things I was when I first did the show, I'm like, hey, I sing opera and musicals. Keep me in that zone. Nope. And it was my own doing. I was like, I got to sing something wrong because that's what the characters carry you. It really is weird how the costumes carry you in this
head
thing.
Heavy, it looks like it would.
Mine was not. Okay. Some of them I suppose are. Mine was rather light. There may be a reprisal coming up on The Masked Singer. Keep watching. You might
see a bit of a spoiler.
Yeah, it's a little spoiler. You might see a little something coming up next couple days.
Do you ever get nervous? The whole point is to remain, anonymous and have them get. But when you say, "Oh, I knew Nick, I knew Jenny," like, were you worried that they would right away?
Oh, no, I was not worried right away. However, Jenny got all the way to Adam Carolla, which was I was sort of frustrated. That's why I had a funny look on my face. I mean, you go all the way to Adam, you can't make one little step further. Yeah, and then Ken, one of the things you don't see on TV is a lot of interaction with the judges. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't go on TV because they don't have time. And at one point, I knew Ken when he was a doctor. And he used to sit in for me on Loveline because he was an excellent physician and he knew the stuff. And I was sort of a fan of his comedy way before Hangover. And I brought him in and I said, but you could do this job. So he sat in the chair a couple times. So during the Masked Singer, my interaction with him, he goes, I know who you are. You have a talk show. I used to sit in for you. And I literally froze. I thought, oh my God, he's going to get it. And he goes, you're Craig Ferguson. I was like, okay. so
close.
Yeah, so close, not even.
That's got to be one of the wildest things you've ever done, right? Like,
I would say so. And you sign non-disclosures that are very rigorous, and you cover yourself up, and you can't speak to anybody, and it's pretty wild. The circumstance, they call you Eagle, they never call you by your name. Even now when I go back there, they call me Eagle.
That's
and
fun.
So it's fun. It's fun. It's to make sure nobody slips up and nobody says somebody's name, and you have no idea who anybody is. You don't see anybody. You're not allowed to speak to. You get in your dressing room, and a producer has to come in and shut the door before you're allowed to speak.
How lucky are you that you got Eagle and not some terribly named animal that just like...
Yeah, it could have been llama or frog or astronaut or something. So I felt pretty lucky.
But Eagle's a badass
But it sort of
name.
screwed me up though, because the other one of the many challenges of this show is the vocal coaching and the song development and the song choice and the song clearances. So I was going way down the... Oh my God, they produced the hell out of this show. They're genius producers. I was going way down the path of ballads and going to sing Sinatra and stuff like things that was sort of quasi in my comfort zone. And then I put the head on and I was like, oh crap, we got to let that all go. So now we're clearing a whole bunch of new songs.
It's kind of the brilliance of the show too, though. If you do something in your comfort zone, it's just one more clue for them to pick up and know exactly who it is, right?
Maybe.
If they know you, they're not going to assume you're singing rock songs.
True, but they're also not going to really see me singing, God Bless the USA either, or anything like that. So, but be that as it may, it worked out okay. I was worried about the next song. The next song was going to be Def Leppard, and I called my team in beforehand. I said, if I get through this, I don't know about that next song. So
it's one song at a time.
Yeah.
See, when you think back and you look at, because as I mentioned in the introduction, Loveline was early '80s that you started. I got to imagine you didn't go to medical school with the intention of becoming part of the entertainment industry.
No.
What started this whole wild ride? What got you even on the radio?
A friend of mine called me. They had a late night radio show they were trying to turn into a community service show. I couldn't figure out what he was talking about, but I went up there and I did it. And I thought, oh my God, this is really something. I'm working a lot in HIV and AIDS at the time, and it interact with young people through the radio. I thought, oh my God, they don't know what this is. They've never heard of it. I've got to come back and keep talking about this. And I really thought I was just doing community service. Just an interesting, fun way of educating young people about HIV and AIDS. And we were using terms about safe sex and things like that before the terms had been coined yet. So we were ahead, and it was considered scandalous to talk to young adults about HIV and AIDS. I mean, why would you? They're not having sex. That was literally the culture at the time. And so I thought, oh man, so it kept me doing it. And one thing led to another, literally.
Yeah. When did you realize that it was taken off and that there was so much of you in this world now? Could you feel the needle shift from just, I'm a doctor who happens to do radio to like, now I'm Dr. Drew? Like,
yes. Yeah, well, it's so funny you would say that. I was in therapy at the time, and my therapist literally looked at me and she said, maybe it's time to wrap up Dr. Pinsky and bring on Dr. Drew. And I thought, oh, no, no way. I'm busy practicing medicine. And it took me many more years to come to terms with that, actually. And so when the first shift happened was when we were doing this one night a week in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden we were put on 5 nights a week. And I was like, oh, because I was working 14-hour days as a physician then.
You still practice now, right? All right, we'll get to that. But keep going.
I would get up at 5 in the morning, struggle to get home by 10 at night. That was my day. And now they were going to take 10 to midnight, and so I have to get home for dinner at 8, and it forced me to go home for dinner, which was a good thing. And it just was like all of a sudden, this is a part of my life. Now, the week that they decided to try that was also the week my wife got pregnant with triplets. And God bless her, she said, no more community service. That's a job now. If you're outside of the house, you get paid for this. I went, okay. I begged for, a salary. It was $50 a show to begin with. It's fantastic. Wow. Radio.
Yeah. Radio in the 80s.
In the 80s.
Yeah. And then at some point, that goes and becomes this thing on MTV.
Yeah.
And then that must have just kind of exploded it even more.
Yeah, and
right?
I did not know what I was doing there either. I was like, what's a TV show? How do you do that? These guys showed up, they want to do a TV. Okay, let's try that.
It's been a lot of fun, though, right?
It was one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Because Adam and I had a very razor-edged relationship, and I love Diane Farr, and the three of us together had a very interesting, fun time for a long time.
That was one of those. That was the thing, and I was just talking to the guys down in the room about this. That like a lot of us, that's where we first kind of were introduced to you was through that. We were like 12 years old.
Yeah,
we had internet, but it was real slow, and so nobody was talking about what you guys were talking about.
This was how I knew it too, and I knew what needed to be talked about. And now that kind of program is not so relevant. It's a different kind of program now. But my premise all the way along, and it would still hold true, is these are fundamentally medical shows. You need somebody with medical judgment offering medical advice. Young people, their medical problems is not coronavirus and schistosomiasis. It's reproductive health. It's drugs and alcohol. It's child rearing, that kind of stuff.
Is it weird to like now like do the thing that you've always done and try to put that out there and you're using your platforms for good, but like there are people that on Twitter that are like mad at you for saying don't panic.
Yeah.
Like,
can you imagine that?
Like they're angry.
Think about that. Think about that. They're literally angry because I'm saying the panic right now from coronavirus is worse than the viral outbreak.
Right.
Not that we shouldn't take appropriate measures to contain it. We should, and we should listen to the CDC, but to panic about it and interrupt the supply chain, lose jobs. I can't get medication for my patients now because of this panic. The panic is now worse than the outbreak. Yeah. By the way, 16,000 deaths from the flu, 280,000 hospitalized from the flu. Get your damn flu shot. That's what the message should be. You are way more likely to die of the flu than coronavirus.
Is it not scarier that at least we have a solution for the flu? Because I do agree with you on a lot of that.
Yeah, that makes it scary for people like me.
Yes, we don't have a solution for
Therefore, people like me and the CDC and infectious disease experts have only one bullet in our chamber, and that is containment. Exactly. We need to contain it while we figure out the vaccine and the appropriate treatments. So, containment, listen to the CDC, listen to Anthony Fauci, and we will contain it. The rest of us, go about your business, get your flu shot.
Is this something that you've had to contend with your entire time? Because you were saying things that nobody was saying, that things that need to be said.
People get angry at me about people are. I am. How much can I swear on this show?
You can say it's the internet. You can say anything.
It's uncanny how many times I find myself in a shitstorm. It's really uncanny. I'm just trying to do good and trying to, offer my judgment based on 30 years of experience. Shitstorm. Yeah. And so, but I'm not going to back off because I know it's right. Certain things I know. I just know certain stuff from my training and experience. And so I'm not going to cave to what's your point? Are you mad at me for trying to calm a panic? Think about that.
I would assume going to med school, they don't teach you how to handle shitstorms.
There's no shitstorm course. No, not maybe these days.
That's something you had to learn.
I still don't know how to do it. What are you talking about?
No idea. Does anybody?
I've learned to be a little more forthcoming with it. I used to just kind of go, I'm sorry, I'd hide. Now it's like, shut up. Shut up. And it really, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help here. That's it. If I misstep, I will, believe me, I will tell you. I will call out my own mistakes.
Yeah, and I got this a little bit before, and I want to come back to it. You're still practicing to this day. You're doing all the stuff that you're doing. You're on The Masked Singer. You're in this film, but you're finding time to also see patients and practice. That's got to be really hard to do because I see you in a lot of things.
No, it's not. It isn't. No, it isn't. How many times have I been on the phone today with patients? Like 3 times today while we're doing all this stuff. Really? So
it's all at once.
Yeah, I mean, these are patients I've done for many, many, many years, and they're, it's general medicine, which I'm highly trained at, and it's no.
And you enjoy doing it.
I love doing it. I love it.
It's your first love. It's what you went to school for.
It's what I went to school for. It's what I think is so important. It's important for doctors to do this work, and if I'm going to be out here talking about things that require judgment, I better be practicing medicine.
Talk to me a little bit before we run out of time here, because we talk about all the things you're doing. We've got this
questions?
film.
Any Twitter questions?
I'm keeping an eye out. If we get them, they're going to let me know. Yeah. Well, now that we talked about the shitstorm, something's got to be coming.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so.
They're keeping an eye out. But also, you've gotten all the podcasts, all the different shows that you're doing. You do the show with Adam still.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that going? Do you see an end any time in sight? You guys have been doing this forever.
You're right. He invited me in about 5 years ago, and so at the Corolla Network, I do Adam and Drew show every day, and we do 5 days a week, and we do a Dr. Drew podcast once a week, and then I do After Dark with Tom Segura and his wife. Christina P is now my partner on that, and it's great. These are great. I mean, the electronic media is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it looks like you're one of those people that has enjoyed sort of embracing and finding ways to leverage that, and have really thrived.
Yeah, my job has always been try to find a way to help media do something good. That's it. And so as media change, I'll change with it, go along with it. I'm not creating it. I'm just riding along.
All right, so what else is left on the list then for Dr. Drew? What haven't you done? You've been on The Simpsons now. We can check that
I
off.
know. I think Rick and Morty, we got to get that. So Rick and Morty, please. Maybe back on the Family Guy, Seth. That'd be nice. But I never know. It's all an exploration. There's no blueprint. Clearly right now there's a lot to be discussed around the coronavirus. I'm trying to calm the panic there and trying to get everybody to assess the outbreak relative to other viral outbreaks and relative to the current flu outbreak so they don't panic. And by the way, all the precautions that everyone's taking this year, did we shake hands or did we bump elbows?
I think we shook, but then I immediately...
You washed your hands.
No offense, I washed my
good.
hands.
That's good. No, that's good. We should be doing that anyway during the flu season. This is all behavior that let's all remember this and let's all do it every year during flu season and get your flu shot.
Is there a point where Dr. Drew does panic or no?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Of course. But I will not be able to tell from the media when it's time. Right. Because so-called journalists are out there using language that is way off the mark. They should be saying only 700-800 cases. Good containment. Follow the CDC. Think about how many 42 million or 24 million flu cases. Maybe you get your flu shot. They shouldn't be fanning the flames with crazy language and making people panic. That's reprehensible.
I agree with that.
Now, if we do have a horrible outbreak, which could happen, trust me, I will be out there just saying, hide, go. That would be my goal, right? To save as many lives as possible. I'm going
to ask you a question. This is something that has me a little panicked, seeing all that, is that they tell us, like 100 new cases today in New York. Maybe I'm cynical, but I believe there's got to be more than that.
Oh, way more. Way more.
Should I be panicked about the idea?
No.
There's clearly more cases.
Let's say there are 5,000 in New York.
Let's say that.
Reasonably. That doesn't get anywhere near the number of flu cases that you could be exposed to. And you are more likely to die of flu. You're as likely, that we don't know the fatality rate yet fully from the coronavirus, but it's going to be around the flu. You're more likely to die of that. Statistically. Now, if you get one or the other, they have about the same fatality rate. Let's say corona ends up twice what the flu is. A young, healthy person, that's not going to make a big difference.
Fair enough.
So don't panic.
Okay. Well, there's plenty of other things for me to panic about. I'll tell you that.
You have panic disorder? We can talk about that.
I don't know that I have a disorder.
Well, sounding like it.
In my 30s and 2020, and the shit's fucked. That's it. That's just the word.
Well, this is another 20-minute conversation, which is that panic is everything's a hysteria. Everything today, and I'm very concerned about that. That this little outbreak taught me something about the general tone here. I had an AM radio show for about 5 years, and towards the last couple of years, every day I was saying, what's your hair on fire about today? Your hair's always on fire about something. Every time I turn on cable news, hair on fire. I can't remember what any of it was because none of it was anything. Yeah. And this is having real effect on people's lives. We are losing supply chain, we're losing jobs, we're losing businesses, and that is unconscionable. It's reprehensible. So we got to get control of the people that are fanning the hysteria. Yeah.
Do you see a lot of that in your patients, and you notice a trend, an uptick?
No, because my patients are elderly. I do general medicine and stuff, but it's mostly people your age that are panicking. So that's what made us talk about this.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Dr. Drew, it's been really awesome having you here, man. And we're going to wrap things up because we're getting to the end of the road here. Final Kill, it's available on demand right now, and people can go watch it. It's also in select theaters. Yeah. Also, you've got your podcast. I got them all written down right here. We've got...
So everything's at drdrew.com. That's the easy thing.
Well, yeah, drdrew.com. You can find everything right there. But you've got Dr. Drew After Dark.
Which you like that one, right?
That's a good one. Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's a really good one. You got the Adam and Drew podcast.
It's also a good one.
There's no shortage of Dr. Drew content out there in place for you to ask questions. And if you missed that episode of The Simpsons, look it up. It's fantastic. It was a great episode. It's hard to come by in the later seasons. That was a good one.
I try to do a streaming show almost most days. We skip a lot of days, and we stream out on everything: Periscope, Facebook, Mixer, Twitch, and
when do you
guys
sleep?
are probably doing the same thing. I sleep a lot more these days than I used to. It's all so much easier than practicing medicine. You guys have no idea. You have no idea. If I were practicing medicine full time, that's stressful. That's hours. Yeah, that's craziness. This is when I put it down, I put it down.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you putting it down and coming here and hanging out with us for a little bit. All right, check out all those things I told you to check out. Thank you again very much for being here. Dr. Drew Pinsky, everybody. Thank you.